Use the figure shown below and the Pythagorean theorem to write a formula for the area of an equilateral triangle with side length x. Alright, well first of all we're talking about area of a triangle, so we usually just write that as 1/2 of the base times the height. But this is a special kind of triangle, equilateral, all the sides are the same, and we're going to say that the side length is just called x here. Now, if I look at the triangle that I'm given, this would ordinarily be my base, and this thing here would be my height. So in terms of the x, I got to figure out what those two variables are. Sure, I can go ahead and substitute the x in here for the base, but now I also need something for the height, and that's where the Pythagorean theorem is going to come in. Okay, but I'm going to I guess rewrite this little triangle that's right here. Just say the right half of the diagram. I'm going to solve this thing for h and see what the thing is supposed to be. So here's x, and if this whole piece down here is x, that means that this piece here is x over 2. It's like half of x. Okay, now I'm just going to use the Pythagorean theorem on it in order to figure out what the height is supposed to be. So I have this x here squared, that's like our c squared, is equal to h squared plus, and then I'll put this in parentheses, x over 2 squared. And now I'm just going to solve this thing for my h, so I can substitute it back into the area formula. I'll have to combine some like terms because I've got x's on both sides here, so let's work with this parentheses here. So x squared is equal to h squared plus, and I'm going to square both sides of this, or the top and the bottom I should say, so I got x squared over 4 squared. Okay, so far. And now I just have to take these, not 4 squared, what is that here? Where's the eraser? Find it here in a second. Boop, boop. There we go. Just 4, 2 squared 4. Now we've got to get this guy over here to that side. So it's a fourth, and I'm subtracting it away from 1. That's going to leave me with 3/4 of them. So 3/4 x squared is equal to h squared. And then one last thing on this one is just to take the square root of both sides. And yes, we're supposed to have 2 answers, but we're talking about the height length, so it's going to be positive. So we're just going to keep one of them. So the height is equal to, as far as the square root of 3/4 goes, I can take the square root of the top. I'm just going to take the square root of each piece individually. Square root of 3 stays just the square root of 3, doesn't simplify. Square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of x squared, those are inverses, so they cancel each other out. So we get the square root of 3 over 2 times x, that's the height. So we're going to plug this in for height. And we already said the base was x. So let me come over here on the side and rewrite our area formula. Area is equal to this original 1/2 times my base length, which I said was x, times my new height, which is the square root of 3 over 2 times x. Okay, now let me just simplify this a little bit, because I can multiply these two fractions together. It's just top times top and bottom times bottom. We'd have the square root of 3 over 4. And then the x's could be multiplied together to get x squared. So there is the area formula then for an equilateral triangle if you just knew its side length.